I love printing. I love printing. I love it. I love printing. Hey everybody, welcome back to another session with me, Warren Werbitt. Today we have we always have a special guest, but this one flew in from over the pond, or didn't fly in. He's sitting on the other side of the pond. We got Brendan Perring of the IPIA in the UK. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, Warren. I'm looking forward to this roller coaster ride that we're about to embark on.
Oh yeah, it should be fun, eh? A little comparison of the two print cultures on both sides, you know. I don't know, whatever. So to everybody listening, there's no agenda here. There's no plan. I just reached out to Brendan and said, "Hey, you want to talk?" And he's like, "Sure." And I'm like, "What do you want to talk about?" And he's like, "I don't know." And I'm like, "I don't know." So we're just gonna go. So let's start with this. How's print these days over on the other side?
So, in one way, this insane time that we've been through over the last 3 years, and I know it is super boring to talk about the challenges and everything, but the pandemic really did a number on the UK print industry. But in some ways, there has been silver linings in that the industry that's emerged is fitter, leaner. A lot of the companies that perhaps were doing a lot of damage with price with price dropping and price
Mm,
pressure, both at a regional and national level, they didn't come through the pandemic. It's given printers here a bit more of an ability to hold on and say no when a customer comes back at them with some insane thing or tries to bounce printers off each other to win against price. They can sort of hold the line more. There's been a lot more diversification. The online piece has really exploded because they were forced. A lot of printers that weren't involved at all were forced online to a greater or lesser success, but they were forced online. So overall, we're probably back to about 90% overall volume pre-pandemic. Um, what makes up that volume has changed significantly, and I think that we are now back to probably about 1 to 2% growth per quarter, which is music to my ears running a trade association because I need my printers to be as healthy as they can be.
Hey, any growth anywhere at any time is good. And when they use the word growth, it's rather exciting as opposed to rolling back, right? So I think on this side, I think print from COVID on was pretty good. I'd like to think that we lost a bunch of those bottom feeding scumbag printers. I could say that because hopefully they're not here listening to me. But nothing despises me more than bottom feeders. And then everything was, pretty robust, and I was actually very excited at one point because I thought, for the most part, that the majority of printers have finally understood that they're allowed to make money in our industry and that they should make money in our industry because our industry is so capital expensive and intensive that you don't have to give it away. And we all know what the industry numbers are about only like what 1, 2, 3% profit, maybe at the end of the year, 8, 9% if you're in the top. But I was really excited when I was hearing everybody talking about how the pricing was stabilizing and there was profit in it. And then just recently, I'm hearing from a bunch of people that it got a little tough. I mean, interest is up again. They're talking, the recession and whatever they're talking. And all of a sudden, like I'm hearing again that printers are taking that arrow and they're going south and dropping the prices again. And I'm thinking, like, how stupid could you be? Because you're going to do that. And once you go down, you're not going to get it back. But what I also don't understand is equipment's not cheaper, materials aren't cheaper, right? The consumables aren't cheaper, rents are certainly not cheaper anywhere, right? Hydro is not cheaper anywhere. So how are these people on any side of the pond, anywhere in the world, dropping your prices when our industry pricing is up?
Yeah, exactly. And
I
I
don't get it.
I think if I look at a kind of core of, I'd say about half of our membership, which could be extrapolated out because they're a broad brush of the industry, is that there's almost a tenacity that's come through where there was a lot of fear and a kind of, oh, we want to hang on to this, but they've been through the worst that they can be and they survived. And it's still tough. Now, what that's allowed business owners to do, they've gone through that and it's given them almost more of a fearlessness where when they get a ridiculous request now, they just say no. They just push back and go, no, we'll go find the business from somewhere else. It's not particularly good for print industry employment levels, But a lot of print businesses found that there was quite a large amount of redundancy within their factories, because they were forced to do to do jobs that came in with far less people, and then reached out to their suppliers or technology providers to help them bridge the gap, and suddenly found out, wait a minute, we're producing the same work with 25% less staff, huh? And they've come through and out the other side and maintained that. The staff that remain, talking to them, are more broadly skilled. In a lot of cases, are getting better paid. So, yeah, I think in some ways, on the other side, I'm incredibly sad because we had members that we lost, and they were good businesses run by good people who were doing the right things, and they just got caught out. For instance, maybe they just done a massive technology investment program, to grow just before the wall came down, and that cleared them out. They'd extended themselves to invest to grow, and then the volume stopped and they were done. They had to sell up and move out, which is super sad because that was just bad timing. But I'm
Yeah,
hopeful for
I
the
think
future.
so. I was gonna say, I think COVID, even though it seems like so long ago, but it's not really all that long ago. It's like when you have a print business and times are tough and you start to go through everything, and only because I've been there do I know it. You're plugging in the holes. Do you start to see all the redundancy and stuff that you have? If you look at COVID, it could be for some companies, yes, the initial was all bad, but at the end, they got to weed out the no good in the companies. They got to weed out the people that were there for a long time that maybe shouldn't have been there. For a lot of them, they stepped up on the technology, realizing it was a big push and a force to make them do something. Because I found personally before, if we talk about old school printing, we have and had a lot of legacy people that were very slow to make changes and do certain things. And what comes to mind actually right away? The QR code. I remember in the mid '90s bringing the QR codes back actually to Montreal when I saw them wherever no one had. And everywhere they were booming, Korea and all that other stuff. And in North America, they were dead. And it took COVID to put the QR code on the map and probably everywhere else, right? Because it started changing. So COVID made people change and do a lot of things differently. I just hope that they're not sliding backwards now. We lost some good people. I like to think we lost more bad people, right? Because I've always found the industry, as I said before, just we need to make too many older people talk about making change, but don't make the change, and then wonder why nobody wants to work for them.
Um, yeah, that's sad. There was a big, there was a lot of people that lost their jobs, and that's stabilized now. What's interesting is that the new job opportunities that are coming up, we're actually in the reverse now, where a lot of print businesses are recruitment agencies, specialist print recruitment agencies that are in our membership, um, are booming because print businesses are finding it really difficult now to fill roles, and also the kind of roles that they're filling. Because if they're a larger, more established print business, they're trying to find roles to fill in areas like high level project management, IT development, software development. One of our biggest trade printers, one of their biggest wage bills is on their software development side. They spend more on employees who do software development than produce print in their factory. That is the right change for our sector. It really makes me happy. It gives me passion. It gives me hope for the future because these businesses are changing. The demand for print is there, the desire for print, the digital, but I truly believe this, the digital bubble burst in about 2015. And the reliance on email, the oversaturation of digital marketing, all that reliance, it popped, at least in the UK. And since then, but unfortunately in that intervening time, we had a complete brain drain out of marketing, out of brand managers and everything. They don't know anything about our sector or even how to begin. Now, clever printers or sometimes the in-between people like print management companies who become agencies have filled the gap in between and are now consultants to those companies to help them deliver. But they're coming back to print to deliver on, personalized area. Direct mail is growing. The number of businesses that cancelled catalogs that are now coming back to doing personalized, more specific catalogs is booming. One of our members, Claremont, that's a huge part of their business, is that they've got these big brands that do have a huge amount of data. And maybe it's like Avon, for instance, that do all sorts of beauty care products in the UK and sell door to door. Their reps now can get a personalized, slimmed down catalog that is just for the kind of products and services they want to sell as a rep. Whereas before they'd have got a catalog that size where
Right.
80% of it wasn't relevant. So it really does give me hope for the future that the technology and the advancement that our industry is open to, more and more printers, at least here, are capitalizing on it and able to grow.
You know what's cool about what you just said with the catalog and the personalization, and hopefully more companies will understand. They might spend more money on print to print a little less but better targeted, but their return on their spend will be far greater than it was before.
Yeah,
And one of the problems we have is our sales force isn't always capable of explaining that and selling that to them, right? They're not going in there with a plan and case studies for the most part and to show them. They're still going in there just asking to quote and to do things, right? And today our industry has to be, if you're selling print, it has to be about the value that you bring to the customer. It has to be about the solutions. Price should never be a discussion, although very important. But I think from all the every time there's a survey with buyers, it always comes back that price is never the most important. But when I can tell you, when you go in to meet customers, they always bring up the price first. So, A, is the survey true or not? Or who are they serving?
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Because I used to go into meetings thinking I don't want to talk about price because I want to talk about the work we could do with you that's going to help you increase your work. Or if you're an agency, the goal should be to make sure your customer wins, because if your customer wins, Mr. Agency or Mrs. Agency, you can't discriminate, then you'll get more work from them and you'll give me more work. So it's in our best interest to work together to find the solution and a fair price, because I can't keep investing in my technology if I don't get paid.
yeah, exactly. And I've kind of got two really tangible examples to point to towards that. Um, I mentioned Claremont earlier, so they were a, and John Conroy, who runs that, won't mind me saying, it was a churn and burn print operation. That's what they were doing, and just took a deep breath and went, okay, wait, I've got this amazing human capital in my business. I've got designers who are creative, who understand IT and tech and stuff that I don't understand. We need to change what we're selling as a product, because at the moment I'm selling print as a product, and we need to stop selling print as a product. The product is, what does the print do for the client? Um, and they now start off with full creative consultancy with their clients. They use XMPie as their back end. And they're now able to go to the client with a proposition to create new print volumes that didn't exist. They're not pitching for print that exists, they're creating new print. So they sit down with the client and say, okay, what's your objective? You want to grow your market share in this area. Okay, how's digital working out for you by itself? Not so well. Okay, this is the other 3 or 4 customers that we're doing this type of project with that utilizes print as a vehicle to push people back to digital. This is the return on investment it's doing for them. Would you like that return on investment for you? Great, you do. Fantastic. Let's go. Give us a sample data set. Let's do a test campaign. 100 customers. Okay, bang, let's go. You know the data about where they buy, their favorite color, et cetera, because they're on your database. Right, we're going to create them a direct mail piece that's personalized to them. It's going to have an offer in it specifically for them, based on the fact that you know that the last time they're on your website, they spent an hour looking at handbags and didn't buy one. Let's give them a 50% discount on a handbag to get them hooked in, because the only reason they didn't buy it is because they couldn't afford your handbag. So let's get that in. Done. Right, you know their favorite color is purple. How do you know that? Because they spent half an hour just looking at purple bags. So we're going to theme the whole thing into purple. Let's go. They send it off, goes out to the customer, really high to personalize. The customer goes back, oh my God, we sent that campaign out and we got a 40% response rate. All those people that we've been trying to get for ages are now buying on our website. That's fantastic. How did you do that? There we go. Because you have to open a piece of mail. You can delete an email. It comes through the door. It's got your name on it. You have to open it. You pull it out. You've already achieved a 99% open rate. What other technology can do that? Once you've opened it, you're hitting them with engagement, relevance immediately, and it works. And Claremont is now growing really, really sustainably off the back of selling the result for the client with print as the engine for that result, not print itself. Sorry, I get
So
really passionate.
no, no, I'm sitting here biting my tongue, waiting for you to finish because I got another thing that I'm thinking about, right? And I don't want to cut people off, but so with what you just said with the targeted mailing and knowing all of that, I'm laughing, but I'm really crying because there are so many print companies that have or offer mailing and data, and they've never done anything on their own for themselves, right? So I tell, and I'm giving away free advice, even though I should be charging, um, but it makes me nuts. I don't know why every print company doesn't go out and build a list of 1,000 businesses within a 2 to 3 5 mile kilometer radius of themselves, figure out a 12-month campaign of mailing, personalized mail, a brochure, a postcard, a whatever you want, however it is, for just to be consistent, tracking it all, right? Number one, if I do the fast math and you do 1,000 a month at $1 each, it's 12,000. That's $12,000 a year. The print is free because you're getting paper left over from your other customers' jobs, and your time to print doesn't count. So for 25, and then you're going to do some creative. Maybe you're going to barter with one of your customers, give them print and get some things. And I'm just talking about the inexpensive way of doing it. And then you're going to go out and you're going to mail. But what's going to happen over the 12 months is you're going to build your own case study. You're going to build your own data. You're going to watch how many customers you pick up that call you just because they're getting it and that you didn't even have a salesperson. So it's still for 25 grand cheaper than any salesperson you have in the place. And that salesperson is not going to reach 1,000 people every month. And even if you don't do any follow up, which is wrong, you're going to pick up 1 or 2% new customers. But the bigger thing of all that is, forget the new customers and all of that. You're going to have your own results from your own survey to do your own case study, to go talk to the customer about what you did to grow your business that you would like to do to help them grow theirs. And we don't do it for the most part.
And I've literally it's amazing because I have a member, Easy Print, who's done exactly what you just said. Um, they really wanted to go after high end marketing, brand manager type clients. They had them on their books, but they hadn't engaged with them for, say, they hadn't bought anything from them in over a year. So they were cold, but they used to be a decent client. So they know that these clients' job is to get cut through and brand cut through for their clients. So they created a campaign which was sensory marketing. And they started off by selecting this database, drawing it down, and then sent them initially an email and said, hey, in a week's time, somebody's going to come through the post that's going to be a little bit different. We'll check in with you afterwards once that's done. I'm shortening this for time. The next thing that those clients got through the post was, and I was one of their test subjects, was they got through this beautiful little coaster. And when you opened up this really beautifully embellished card and you pulled out this coaster, the smell of raspberries hit you in the face. And it was beautifully embellished. It was awesome. And like, it was
Oh
amazing.
my
And it
God.
goes, watch out for next week. Something else will be coming in the post. Okay. So put the coaster on your thing. The next week, what came through the post was a package that was a full on personalized gym box. So you open up again, smell of raspberries hits you. It's got sensorial marketing effects, gold foil on the front. You open it up, and then there's Janice Breteau, who's the MD, on a video on the inside of the leaf that as soon as you open it, triggers the video, and she's talking to you and explaining the campaign. And there's gin in there, the gin's personalized, like the whole 9 yards. And it says, all that we ask you, to send you this is that you give us 20 minutes of your time, have a meeting and book in with us. Here's the link to book in a meeting with us on our Calendly. So from that campaign of say 100, they got 50 of those teams to engage with them. And the whole message was, we can do this for your client. We can do this type of sensorial engagement piece for your client. And how good would that be? And out of those 50 meetings, they got 30 pieces of new business. So it's just, it was amazing that they went to that effect, but you have to show what you can do, right?
So I'm getting goosebumps because as you're talking, I'm thinking back to when I had when we bought our 56-inch UV press, which was a one of a kind. I used to send my salespeople out with samples of stuff that we would do differently, and I'd say to them, "Go out, go visit people. Don't ask to quote anything. That's not why you're there. And if you're there regularly and they see and they like, they're going to go, oh my God, don't go. I have something for you to quote." But I remember we did a 56-inch poster and I bought a green apple scent from Scentisphere, who was in Vermont at the time. They've since been bought. And imagine this 56-inch poster with a green apple on it, smelling green apple. I go into an office, lay it out on a table during the meeting. The whole room smells green apple. People are rubbing it and smelling their hand. At one point, I'm like, listen, if you keep rubbing, the genie's going to come out. You got to relax. We did plastic business cards with a bubblegum scent. Everything sensory just to remember us. And I knew then most people weren't going to do that stuff because it was highly expensive, but at least they call you to engage in the conversation. And then when you get to where they want to go, they're not expecting you to be at the same level as the other guy because they already know your thinking and your equipment is advanced, right? So you're kind of setting yourself up or setting them up to kind of know for the conversation. But the problem today is we need more salespeople to be comfortable again with the value add of the conversation, because that is really what print is today, right? I always say this: without us, no other business could do business. Even the online guys, because they ship you stuff, there's printing in the box, there's return labels, there's this label, there's that label. Everywhere you go, without us, there's no drugs sold in the pharmacies, right? There's no directions. There's no way to get to the fire escape. There's no emergency. So for some, we are a necessary evil, but you got to pay for that.
Yeah, do you
It's
know
just,
what?
we have so much to offer. We're talking about stuff. So it just so happens I have sitting here, and I'm gonna bring it up, and I've showcased them before because I really do love what they do. But there's a company called Parkland Direct. They're an envelope manufacturer. Every month I get an envelope. Check this out. They use some type of
Wow.
foil, some type of embellishment. Check out this with the varnishes,
Yeah,
like the raised and the texture, it's like, oh my God. And then a label on the back and a printed, and I get it all the time. I'm going to open one up right now. It's like doing on enveloping. And the power of haptics. How funny that you use the word. We're sitting right here, and it's true, right? If you could feel, touch, and smell, it's going to more get you more motivated. And then there was another. Every month, I get another thing that makes me go, "Holy shit, that's so nice!"
yeah,
Right? Why do printers or print companies not have the ability or don't make the effort to go send something out like this every month? I'm going to open this one up too. And they're consistent with their stamps. They're obviously made stamps. But here, I just open up this, and inside it, cardboard piece. Welcome to the jungle, baby. Foil embossing, uncoated sheet. All these guys do is print envelopes and look at the embellishments, right?
yeah.
It's crazy. Actually, so I'm going to touch on something else when we talk about embellishments and specialty ink. So I'm in a business with a partner, Kevin Abergel, who I'll introduce you to. He was formerly MGI,
Okay.
right? His
Yeah,
family, and they sold out. But we've teamed up, and we've started something called Tactiful, and it's basically we're an agency for working with helping marketing sensory embellishments, the haptics, the touch, the feel, the smell, because the truth is, in the luxury, not even luxury market, when you dress up your products, they move quicker. You get onto the middle shelf, not the bottom shelf, right? So you spend the money, but you put it out. And then we just recently did a specialty ink and toner study, which all the manufacturers got into. I'll send it to you. Here's 99 pages of stuff that we found out about people using specialty toner ink presses.
yeah,
I could tell you that the majority would buy another one. I could tell you that the majority are happy with their uh, increased revenue and even their profit. But the ones who did real training with their salespeople and marketing were even more happy, right? But it's so brutal. And then from that, actually, because and this is the funny thing, and if maybe you've seen our podcast, The Printer in the Suit. So this is what's really cool. Kevin's obviously the suit because he's the OEM, and I'm the printer. And we laughingly fight with each other because I'm like, you can't say that to a printer, dude. You're an OEM. And he's like, I know printers. I said, no, you think you know them. That's the problem with all you all you OEMs. You think you know printers, but together we came out with a with the agency that we have. But we came out with an 8-week introductory program where if you buy an Iridescent press, right, or a Ricoh, I'm going to say 7200 because I don't really know all the numbers, like with the pink and the specialty. Most companies don't know what to do, and we're going to go in there and I'd love your feedback. But so week 1, we talked about the introduction to digital print embellishment. Week 2, we talk about marketing strategies. 3, sales strategies, estimating, quoting, designing for digital print, production workflow, quality control, and post-production. We have members on our team who specialize in every area, right? And why do we do this? Because I remember as a printer buying equipment and not being happy with the manufacturers for the way they help teach us how to use it and do stuff. But this was the revelation that I had. What is wrong with all of us printers to actually think or expect the manufacturers to teach us how to sell it? Right? That's like going into the car dealership, buying a car, and asking the car salesman after to teach you how to drive.
Yeah.
Right? We just don't do it. So we just started with this, and I am so happy to tell you that the printers we've spoken with are loving it because the average printer doesn't know what a marketing plan is or a sales plan. And we're not there to do it for them. We're there to explain and teach and show. The beautiful thing is after, if they want our help, that's when we're happy to come back, charge more, and help them. But if they're able to get it on their own, I'm just as thrilled.
Yeah.
My whole life in print was spent marketing what we did and how we did it. And that's what gave us the brand and the name, right?
And
Quality, price, and service. You can't say that anymore.
no.
It's
And
nonsense.
it's interesting what you just said, because we talked about a little bit off air about this, and that trade associations, people like me, we need to keep our feet on the ground. I've never been a printer. I've spent a long time in print businesses. I've talked to thousands of print businesses. I've never done it for myself. So I don't actually have the true experience of what it takes. So, put that on the record. I'm jealous of people like you, Warren, because you actually were a printer, and I'm passionate about this industry and I love this industry. I've even had mad ideas about, could the IPA start a print business in
You could
of
be the
itself.
first person who ever told me you're jealous of me, and I'm going to take that in and I'm going to take that to heart.
I wish that I'd actually had the experience on the boards. Nothing more I enjoy than spending a whole day with a member, walking around their factory, walking around their business, understanding how it works, talking to them. But one thing that we can do is speak to a lot of different people who have a lot of different approaches to the same challenges and a lot of different approaches to seizing opportunity. And what I enjoy the most at the trade association is just trying to share that knowledge with other printers and say, look, this may not work for you, it may, but I was talking to this dude over here, this person over there, and they're achieving this growth and they're doing it by X, Y, and Z. I think you have the capacity to do that yourself. I can't tell you how to do it. I'm not a printer, but they're doing it. You could do it, So it's fascinating that you say that. And it's just, there's also a place for that. I don't want to preach that there is a place for specialism. There's a place for people like Stevens and George in the UK. They're a magazine printer. That's their specialism. That's what they've done. They've got a fantastic efficiency at
Yeah,
just doing that. They do white
absolutely.
label trade for other printers who need magazines done. That's their niche. They don't need to do anything else. They're doing very well, very profitable, because they've chosen one thing and they're throwing everything they got at it. But if you're
Well,
outside of doing that,
the key is they've chosen, right? Sorry, they've
no,
chosen.
yeah, they proactively made that choice to go after that market and be the best in that market. But yeah, I think you were talking about also off air. We were both interested in. There's an odd trend in the UK where we're starting to win work from the States. So I'd be interested to hear your thoughts about why you think that's happening.
Well, you know what? I haven't. Maybe it's happening. We haven't. I haven't heard on this side that work's going over there. Um, if it is going over there, then it has to be for certain reasons, right? It has to be for the type of work being done, the type of work I'm going to assume that's being offered that might not be offered the same way over here. I don't believe that the print on your end it's about being cheaper because it's probably not cheaper. From friends that I've spoken to, the machines cost the same, the paper costs the same, the consumable costs the same, and I think after COVID, our labor costs the same, right?
Yeah,
Overly
give or take.
expensive.
Yeah,
So it probably has to do with a bit of attitude, a bit of the solutions that are being spoken to, and there has to be some really big benefits.
yeah.
Otherwise, why else would things move, right?
I
The
mean,
stuff
one,
coming from overseas, like China, it's strictly price,
and you know what? I think you just hit
right?
the nail on
But
the head because um, some of that work from, say, print management companies in the States, where we've got members who've now won that work, they previously would have got that work printed in China and shipped back to the States. And now there is a push from their customers, the brand, to say, where is this printed? One of the lines that I seem to be able to eke out is number one, they're worried about the carbon footprint of that print going being printed in China, shipped all the way back. Um, and also the footprint of the factories doing it. The UK happens to be a super efficient sector because we've been through so much over the years. It's a shorter distance to ship, and they'd rather have it done in a UK or a European country than in China. Um, I'm not quite sure. I think that might be a political thing. And then, secondly, there's this weird fascination, especially in the States, with our royal family and British prestige, and Great Britain and this brand. And there's especially in the magazine. So Kingsbury Press is an example of that over here, which is owned by Blue Tree Group, which owns Route One Print. One of their biggest markets is the States, and it's growing.
really,
And they're coming to them. Not the quality is obviously of the highest degree and everything else, but it's so that they can literally say this book was printed in the United Kingdom. It's got some sort of brand value associated with it, which living here just makes me laugh because we're as much
yeah,
of a complete
I'm
crazy
laughing. I'm
show as
laughing
anywhere else.
too. But then I'm thinking now when you say like print management companies, I'm thinking like the HH Global and the Inner Workings, which I think are based in the UK, right? So I don't know if customers knowingly are wanting their work sent over there, taken away from us, or management at those companies is got some deals going with some of the printers for volume, right? I mean, I will tell you, honestly, HH Global, Inner Workings, all of those, I hate them all. I hate them all because the truth is they might feed printers, but they're stealing the work from the printers. They're making the printers bend over and do it at cost plus 10 so that they could make their 30, 40 points with the end clients, right? And then what does Inner Workings do? Inner Workings, and if you don't know it, then I'll tell you, Inner Workings charges the printer back a 16 to 20% technology fee on an invoice, which is their fees for getting the work.
Mm.
So I'm not a big, I don't want to touch on that now, but I'm not a big fan of those print management companies because they're stealing work from all printers around the world and they're just repurposing it for less money for us. But hey,
Yeah, and
that's a whole other conversation.
it is another whole conversation. Yeah, but I do find it. Yeah, it's just fascinating that that's a new trend, and it's
Yeah.
one to watch.
Listen, I guess you know what? I guess today you can print anywhere, right? And if you're not now that the containers are down to $3,000 a container from 25,000 at the end of COVID, um, it's easier. And I think people time wise in their minds, right, allow maybe a little bit more time. I think with all the consumable and paper issues, people got used to having to do what they had to do. And if you're a smart print company, you don't give up on that. You hold people to, we need to know 2 weeks out. You can't come to us today to print tomorrow, right? The minute we get back into that, give me the file today, I'll do it tomorrow. We're back to where we were before, and we've erased everything and all the benefits that COVID gave us.
Yeah,
Because I think we have to find, I mean, if we're smart as people, we won't talk about the bad stuff of COVID, only the good, because there was definitely a lot of good that came from COVID, right? Or I think
Yeah, I
some people
agree.
might think differently. I guess
One thing I
if you didn't
really,
like your wife and you were stuck in the house the whole COVID, then it was no good. But if you loved your wife, it was a great COVID.
yeah, I enjoyed COVID. Not gonna lie, it was. I didn't have to go out to parties. I didn't have to socialize. It was an easier time in some respects.
Yeah,
Like your own
for me too.
company,
And I
and
got,
it's okay.
yeah. Oh, and I went through a whole bunch of nasty stuff. So COVID was just the perfect time to reset and go again. And
I
now I'm
was,
back with like more energy than before.
I was, I'm conscious that we're closing in on time, but I really wanted to get your view on something. We have a
Shoot.
fascinating trend in the UK where we've got obviously the big block trade print houses at the top, so Solo Press, Trade Print, Route One Print, etc. Bishop's printers, you know, several hundred staff, total efficiencies, automation, web to print, skinned up storefronts, the whole 9 yards, full automated print. Then you've got underneath them kind of more specialized trade printers that they wouldn't want to touch because it's odd sizes, it's odd formats, it's we want 100 of this or 500 of that or 50 of that, or we want this weird special
Custom.
embellishment. Yeah, so like custom trade print, who are doing fairly well in the middle. Um, then you've got your jobbing larger commercial trade printers who are hanging on by their teeth because they don't really fit into those two. Maybe they've got a decent regional market, but that market is most under pressure, is that middle ground of commercial trade printer. You've obviously got the science and graphics guys, wide format guys are booming. That market just keeps growing and growing and growing. But what really fascinates me is the tier underneath, which was the Mar and Par shop, Call Quick, Pronto Print, small high street print shops. They are increasingly turning into mini marketing agency and doing a decent degree of print management. Where some of our members that are in that spectrum are turning over, it's not their volume, but they're turning over really large revenues on behalf of their clients because their clients don't understand print. They have come to them for years. Like we've got one member who just happens to do all the bank and boardroom reports for Lloyd's of London because they've done it for 40 years and Lloyd's of London always just use them. But
Right.
they've now taken on print management work for Lloyd's of London and are processing multi-million pound jobs on behalf of them out to those trade printers, right? And making a cut in the middle. So you had this Mar and Par print shop that's now turning over huge theoretical volumes by subbing the work back out to bigger trade printers whilst doing the short immediate work and making really decent profits again. So yeah, I was just interested, is are you seeing that in Canada? Have you heard that in the
Yeah,
States?
I think that's always been a little bit of right. Dealing for the smaller guys that are getting to take on more. I'm going to think it's because they are getting a little smarter in the way they're communicating with their customers. I think some of the customers, let's be real, the big companies are not necessarily better; they're just bigger. So the bigger print management companies are, the more people, the more clients, the more they give to their printers, it still runs into the same logjam, right? It's the customer calling up that can't get the answer in the beginning. You got an answer the next morning. Now he has to wait 48 hours. It's not 30, 24, 36. And the smaller manager of it or the smaller company doing it is quicker and more nimble and could turn around. And they're not working with the big trade printer. They found the smaller trade printer that fits into the niche that they could all work together with because it works and they need each other. That's what I kind of think how it works. Big gets too big, right? And if the big is dealing with all the pharma companies get a little pissed off along the way because they have to wait because of the other work that they've taken on.
Mm,
There are no secrets out there,
mm,
right? There's no secrets the same way most printers know who other printers' biggest customers are. Probably because the trade shops open up their mouth and tell everyone everything about the others, right? We have a pretty I don't know what's the proper word, but we have a bit of a sick industry in terms of how fast news travels. I mean, I know other industries have it, but ours is beyond light speed, right? Um, the word goes around so fast. The other day, I was talking to someone who had a job that required outside foil stamping. They went to a trade printer. The trade printer said to the printer, you're the fourth person to quote that. When he told me that, I was furious. Why is the trade printer telling him? The trade printer should be happy 4 people quoted. He knows he's getting the job from someone, right? By telling the guy who's calling you that the others quoted, he's now broken the trust. So we got to, anyway, we have all kinds of little things. I think we're in an amazing business. I think the stuff we do just makes companies shine, makes people look good. The awards that we print that go on people's walls, everything that we do is just great. There is really no better
on that
industry.
note,
maybe sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
I've got
on that note
that just came to mind that I wanted to read for your listeners. I think I've
sure, we're good. We're always good for a reading.
So those who don't know about her, please go and look up Beatrice Ward. And this is what she wrote about being a printer. This is a printing office, crossroads of civilization, refuge of all the arts against the ravages of time, armory of fearless truth against whispering rumor, incessant trumpet of trade. From this place words may fly abroad, not to perish on waves of sound, not to vary with the writer's hand, but fixed in time, having been verified by proof. Friend, you stand on sacred ground. This is a printing office. And it's just the last thought I'd like to leave your listeners with is, we're an awesome industry. Be proud of yourselves. Fight. Keep on fighting. We are going to be the Renaissance. Don't give up hope. Ask people like Warren for advice. Ask your trade association for advice. Just keep going.
We're going to end it on that because that is the most powerful ending I've had since I started this. So, Brendan, awesome. Thank you. We're going to pick this up again. We'll continue the chat. If you ever need, I'm happy to fly over there and talk to your people, and you can fly over here, talk to my people. We can meet somewhere in the middle and just have a drink. Maybe not the middle, but anyways, thank you so much for the time. Everybody who listened, I hope you made it through to the end. If you did, you should be smiling and laughing, but more importantly, you should be proud to be a printer. Everybody, if you got anything you want to say, let me know. If you want to be on, let me know. Otherwise, keep watching. Love ya. Warren Werbitt, what they think, and I love print.